Hey, what's up guys? Hope you're doing well. I'm alright. I just got the Harbor Freight catalog in the mail and I thought I'd just run through it. On the front here there's a coupon for the Bauer drill for 60 bucks. That coupon's pretty much always there. There's also a coupon for a 26-inch 16 drawer roller cabinet for $2.99. I've been really impressed with the quality of the cabinet so far. Those ladders are pretty nice. You can find them a little cheaper elsewhere. But if you have big feet, they're kind of hard to use. Their straps are a pretty good deal. They're pretty decent quality also. I've kind of wondered about those carports. I don't currently need one, but I thought about it in the past. So if somebody has one, it'd be nice to hear about it. Metal ammo cans are awesome. There's a coupon for 10 bucks. Tarps are always good. The disposable gloves, it's almost a staple. I try to grab them every time I'm in there. The Hercules Tools, it says your choice for 100 bucks. I believe the hammer drill is also, I think it's 110, maybe 120. But my experience with them, they weren't as good as something else you could get for 100 bucks. And I'm in no way saying they weren't decent, but there is cheaper options if you just want decent. I feel like their mobile miter saw stand's quite expensive for what you get. The step stool platform, or the platform, for 20 bucks. I picked up one at Lowe's and I think it was about that price. It might have been $14.99 and I think it was 3 steps. Air compressors. If you're not going to use it much, you're just going to use it to air up basketballs and an occasional tire, the oilless one might be for you. But if you plan to use it with any kind of tools, I would definitely go ahead and go with the oiled version. This is going to last you a lot longer. Sorry about that. The Powerpack Jump Box is what I call them. It says a 4-in-1. So you can jump start it. It has a work light, has a power supply, and it has an air compressor. And 60 bucks. I had one that was just a jump pack. It did nothing else. And I think it was about $50. The foldable shop crane. That's a pretty good price. I believe the 1.5 ton, or maybe it's just a 1 ton, I don't know. But the smaller version of it is $160. So that's a pretty good deal. And everyone I've spoke to suggested that you go ahead and you get the bigger one. Because the reach of the other one is quite short. The LED work lights are pretty neat, especially the ones with the magnet. I also seen this. This seems to be a new one here. It's a ultralight crushproof weather resistant case. It has like some kind of foam egg crate in it. I don't know what you would want to store in there, but it seems pretty secure, but I haven't seen one in person. It's also a coupon for a generator and a welder. The 29-piece titanium drill bits, I have had good success with them. I'm very interested in this high frequency smart battery charger. It's made by Viking. There's a coupon in here for $24.99. I think it's probably a pretty good deal. I like that it has an LED or a LCD display. Kind of see what your voltage is sitting at, so you don't have to pull out a meter or something. Still very curious about the camera sets. I have the adjustable roller seat. It's commonly like 25 bucks. Sometimes you can get it a little cheaper than that. It's nothing special. Heavy duty booster cables, jumper cables, whatever you want to call them, for $17.99. I paid probably about $35 for the set I have. And I don't think they're 16 foot long. So maybe that's a pretty good deal, as long as they're decent quality. The plastic ammo box is also really awesome. I actually was considering getting this chipper shredder just to get rid of a bunch of brush around my house. But then after I really thought about it, you know, what do I need this $400 brush removal tool for? I don't have that much brush. It'd be used for a few days and it would be in my way for probably the rest of my life. I've never used the electric chainsaw sharpener. I have used the Portland electric power washer. I really was not impressed. I actually had to take it back to the store and they charge you a restocking fee of like, it was like 20% or something. So it was kind of a waste of time and it didn't work right, so, and I didn't want another one. The impact sockets, awesome. The long and the shorts are both very good. And they have a lifetime warranty anyway, so. They're hand trucks, dollies, whatever you want to call them. They're also a pretty decent deal, but you can find cheaper ones out there. Movers dollies, that's an awesome deal. They're $20 at Lowe's. They have a few different sizes, I believe. I actually have had this temperature gun, and the switch on it failed, but other than that, it was pretty decent, especially for $8.99. The Diablo Air Hose, they also have a red version. They are very, very nice hoses. That's a rubber one, but they also have another variety. I believe it's red. But they're very nice hoses, especially for 20 bucks. I don't know if you could beat it. Their extension cords are pretty decent. I've also heard people say that the blue-bodied pedal, the pedal switch grinder is a very good deal, and it's way better than the cheaper one. The table saw, I was considering getting it, but I ended up with the Craftsman one. It was like $30 more, and it had a warranty. I'm real big on warranties. Now, granted, I don't use it a lot. And my Craftsman one also came with a stand. This one does not. You have to buy it separate. I think it's another 40 bucks. So it ends up being around the same price. I use this float charger right now. I keep it on my car over the winter while it's sitting in the garage. Keeps it nice and charged up. I've been using it for 3 or 4 years now. I've had no issues with it. Breaker bars. All the breaker bars are awesome. And if for some reason you were to ever break it, you just take it back in and exchange it out. These cheap plastic foldable sawhorses, I like them because they're very light and easy to store. You could probably hang them on the wall with thumbtacks. They are a little flimsy, but when you put weight on them, they really stiffen up. You can put a 2x4 over 2 of them and sit on it. I think they're rated at like, it says 350 pound capacity. The Voyager tool bags are also very awesome. They're good for storing all kinds of stuff. I keep a grinder and a sander in one. I've heard of people using them to store CDs in the truck. I also keep one in my trunk with some tools for on the road. There's another battery charger, engine starter. I considered getting that one, but I think I'm going to get the Viking one. The steel hole saw set, they're pretty decent. There's a smaller set that you can get for like $8 or $7.99, something like that. If you don't use them every day, it's not a big deal. But you can definitely cut a hole in the floor for putting a toilet or something. The 3-piece titanium high-speed step bits. That's one of the few things that I like from the Warrior branded Harbor Freight. They are awesome. They very easily punch a hole in like a firewall of a car if you're trying to run some wiring for a stereo or moving your battery to your trunk or whatever the reason. Sawzall for 20 bucks. The Sawzall, while it's mostly made out of plastic, it works pretty well. Has a quick release. It's pretty awesome. The handle also swivels. The rope lights, I'm too fickless. I'm too big of a penny pincher to have something like that plugged in all the time. But I'm sure they're probably decent. Their toolboxes, like I said before, I think they're all pretty awesome. All the ones I've had my hands on. I currently don't own any. The 18 gauge 2-in-1 nailer stapler. I actually have that, and I very much like it. I've yet to have it jam. Well, I haven't used it a ton. I did use it to put up insulation in a whole room. Worked like a charm. And the Drill Master drill and flashlight kit. Sometimes you can find it a little cheaper, but 20 bucks you get a drill and a flashlight. Well, it's not, obviously it's not the best drill. If it's just one you want to keep in the house, I keep mine under my kitchen sink. So, you know, if the sink randomly springs a leak on it, I don't care. But I've had mine for probably 4 years, and it's perfect for things in the house. I have no problems hanging up shades, driving some screws to fix something, hanging curtains, you know, that kind of thing. It has no problems. I've used it to hang drywall also. Put a few hundred screws in, and honestly the battery lasts a pretty long time. All their jacks that I have experience with are awesome. I have not used the bottle jacks. I own the cheap steel jack stands, and they're all good. I've never used any of the motorcycle lifts or engine stands or anything like that, but that is a very common engine stand design, so I'm sure it's pretty decent. There's the 1-ton capacity shop crane. Like I said, the 2-ton is only $10 more. So I'd probably go ahead and go with that. Their creepers, I absolutely don't like them. Their stools, like I said, I really don't care for them. They feel like there's cardboard in the seat. I also seen that this Maddox brand has been around here recently. They make all kinds of pullers and tie rod separators and things like that. So there's a 20% off coupon for those. Though I feel like this is quite expensive for some of the stuff. But it is a set, and you get 5, and it's $54. So that might be a pretty good deal. I don't see if it says they have a lifetime warranty or not, so there may be something to consider. Apparently, Harbor Freight now carries WD-40 for $8 a can. Pretty sure you can get it at Walmart for quite a bit less. I've never used any of the pullers or anything. I've always just borrowed them from friends or from the hardware store, or not hardware store, auto parts store. The panel tool set, panel removal tool set, I really feel like that would come in handy. If you're like me, I'm always kind of tinkering with the interior of my car, having to pull panels off and stuff, and some of that, I probably would have not broke some things using something like that. Long reach hose grip pliers. I feel like those could come in really handy also. Pulling off radiator hoses or, you know, little coolant hoses and things. And here's the jump packs again. And the chargers. Like I said, I think that's a pretty good deal. Assuming they work for a long time. But I don't really trust the brand Syntec. I know those little free multimeters they give away are quite junky. Speaking of it, it's right there. The rubber wheel chocks. Honestly, I don't know if you could find a better wheel chock besides a brick for cheaper. Walmart will sell you a set of 2 hollow plastic ones for about the same price. But it's a solid piece. It probably weighs about 5 pounds. They're inverters. I've never used them. I do have an OBD2 code reader. It's pretty decent for the basic stuff. You know, you can reset a light, see what the code is. You have to look it up. Someone gave it to me. I did not buy it. Winches, I know someone that has one. And it does work. I don't have any personal experience with them, but they seem like they're pretty decent. These little pop-up sheds and tents and things, it can be useful if you don't have a garage. Keep your motorcycles out of the rain. Keep people from seeing them too. Cargo carriers that you stick in your hitch. I think those are a pretty good deal. If it was me buying it, I'd probably go ahead and spring for the aluminum one. Because I'm picky about weight and stuff like that. Having a drag on my fuel efficiency. It also wouldn't rust. The truck ladder rack. I actually worked for a company and we had that. It's pretty decent. We didn't have any problems with it, and it kept the ladder the whole time. There is also a truck rack, if you're going for like PVC or something, or more ladders or lumber or whatever you wanted to put up there. They're ramps. They're just basic ramps that you can get at like Walmart or anything else for about the same price, except without the warranty. So that's also something to consider. I've never used any of their trailer stuff, but I'm pretty sure it's all pretty standard. Their straps are all pretty good deal. I bought the Bungee Cords the last time I was in there. They're also a pretty good deal. I mean, they're just basic Bungee Cords. Probably the same stuff you can get at the dollar store. Magnetic bowl, awesome. They give them away for free all the time. 2-gallon gas can for 17 bucks. I still feel like that's quite expensive. And the toolboxes. I would really love to go just be able to pick up one of those, but it's a little too much out of my price range. $749. I love the dimensions of the ones that are 72 inches long, like this guy down here. He's $1,100. That would be a perfect workbench for the space I got, but probably gonna have to stick with something a little smaller, like this Yukon here. People say it's almost exactly the same as the Husky, but this one was built much better. The Husky, like the top, didn't have bolts holding the top on, it was just set on top, and the Yukon actually bolts down. There was a lot of comparisons, and the Yukon won pretty much every time, and they're same price. I think the Husky one was a little bit taller, maybe like 2 inches or something. This metal workbench, if you just have a small area and you're not really going to be using it for a whole lot, like the one I have, I just use it for storage. There's just stuff sitting across the top of it. It's pretty decent for some things, but overall it was a waste of money and time to put together. Not only was it a huge pain in the ass to put together, it's not very good quality. And whenever you go to move it, it wobbles, and it's kind of a nightmare. The hardwood workbench, though, on the other hand, is very nice. It's very sturdy. Went together pretty simple. The instructions weren't that great, but overall it's a nice piece. These carts, I'm always looking at them, and I can't decide if I ever want to get one or not, so I still haven't got one. The wall bin, I think it was a great deal. I think I got it on sale for $14.99. You know, and it's nice to keep your screws separated. The ratchets, they're all really decent. I really like the composite ratchets. I don't have the composite offset ratchets. I just have the teardrops, and I absolutely love them. They are composite, so basically plastic, but they also have the lifetime warranty, so it's pretty nice. So torque wrenches, I own two, the 1/2 inch and the 3/8, I think. Anyway, they were a very good deal, and they work really well. So far, all the breaker bars and extensions have been really good to me. I haven't broken any, and if they do break, lifetime warranty. The torque wrenches, I'm not sure if they come with a lifetime warranty or not, but they're pretty good. I think they're within a 2% accuracy. They're 20 bucks for each size, and like I said, I do have two of them. I generally tell people to stay away from the chrome and the colored sockets, but they are actually a really good deal. With the lifetime warranty, you really can't go wrong, but on the other hand, they're very prone to split, like along the side of the socket. And as I broke the colored ones, I just kind of threw them away. The 9-piece star bit set, I have stripped a few teeth off a few of them, working on brakes. I honestly don't know why they were so tight, but they were very tight, and I stripped the teeth off. I'm still waiting to return those. The T-handle Hex Keys, they're pretty decent. The 18-piece T-handle, the set, I really love it. I bought it on sale. I want to say it was $14.99 with the coupon or something. The stainless steel has a spot labeled for each one. They are very handy to have around. I prefer them to Allen keys any day. The one thing I didn't like about them is the real small ones. Whenever you really twist on them, they do flex a little bit, but they work pretty good. The nut drivers, they have a professional handle and just like a normal screwdriver handle. I actually have both sets of these. I prefer the professional nut driver set. I've used it to work on my furnace. It's pretty awesome. But I definitely like the professional handle better than the clear plastic screwdriver one. And plus it just feels a lot sturdier. I just kind of wish they had a nut on the shaft. Like some of the pricier ones. But maybe that's something they can add in the future. Box knives and Allen keys are all pretty cheap. That's a pretty nice set. I do have that too. The largest Allen key in the set's probably about 8 or 9 inches long, so you can really put some pressure on it. The screwdrivers are so-so. I mean, they're pretty decent. Some of them you can really beat the crap out of, and some are kind of crappy. But they all have a lifetime warranty. The wrenches, it's another thing with a lifetime warranty. They're all pretty decent. The ratcheting wrenches, I don't currently own any. I did have a gear wrench set. I ended up selling it off on eBay because I didn't use the ratcheting portion of it. I just use a ratchet for ratcheting stuff, and I use a wrench. Sometimes you can't fit it in a spot, but I'll just use a regular wrench. I'm not that lazy. But they are nice to have, and someday I will go ahead and pick up another set. But I would suggest getting them. They're a decent deal. I mean, $20 for a set of wrenches. A 32-piece set, and the ratcheting ones at $26. And you can use a 20% off coupon. So you're going to end up paying under $20. The side cutters and pliers or dikes or whatever you want to call them are all pretty decent. You know, they're the equivalent of a cheap tool, but I'd say they're probably worth it because they have a lifetime warranty on them. 3-piece curving locking jaw pliers, vice grips, whatever you want to call them. I think they're pretty decent. I've heard some people say they had a problem with them. Mine clamped down really hard. I can hit them with a hammer. I've done all kinds of stuff to them, and they work really good. And and they're quite cheap. The 4-piece tongue and groove, they're just your typical cheap tongue and groove, pliers. There's nothing real special about them, but they also have a lifetime warranty. I've never had them fall apart. I've had the nut that holds them together rust off. But I was able to exchange it out for a new one. No big deal. I've never used any of their hammers other than the dead blow and the rubber mallet. Both are awesome. Cheaper than you can find anywhere, and they're sturdy. Especially the dead blow. The rubber mallet's just a glob of rubber on a stick. But the dead blow, you can really pound that thing in and will not fail. The V-shape hang-off, they're pretty handy if you want to hang up some hoses or something. They do take up quite a bit of room for what they are. But for $1.99 and be able to get stuff out of the floor, it's a pretty good deal. Never used any of their vacuum bags. I also have their serrated blade machete. $6. And it's pretty good. I use it to cut down some brush occasionally. It's probably more just me playing with it than anything else. Ammo boxes, like I said earlier, are awesome. Their tape measures, the 25-foot one, this guy up here, he's usually free. I've never bought any of the other ones because I never had a reason to. But their free one's just a orange case tape measure shoved in a rubber boot. Their levels are pretty decent. I've had no issues with them. The aluminum Raptor angle square, I call it a quick square. I've had no problems with it also. They also sell a plastic one for $1.99. Just avoid the plastic one. It wasn't straight at all. The heavy duty pry bar set. That's one of the tools that I absolutely love. And I don't care what your profession is. That's always something nice to have. When you get 4 pry bars for $10 and they have handles. and I believe they're also covered under the lifetime warranty. For chisels, I have had them in the past. I just buy the Stanley ones at Walmart. They're like $1 more when I need them, so I don't have to go all the way to Harbor Freight. But they were pretty decent. And I also have one with, I believe they have some with the cap on the end, and I think that's those. Aviation Ten Snips. I actually bought that set because they were cheaper than a single pair of Stanley Fat Max ones. Just so I could use the one just to cut some wire that I was using to hang a fence. But other than that, they're awesome. I like the axes because of the fiberglass handle. It's more just a plastic, but it's very sturdy. I also had the pickaxe. It's an awesome tool. I'm about due for a new one, so I'll probably go ahead and get one from Harbor Freight, considering it's like 20 bucks. I have the locking C-clamp pliers. I don't know if it's the Bourbon brand or not. Bremen, Doyle, they have all these different brands that I've never seen. Doyle there says it beats Klein. I think Klein makes some really good tools, so I'd like to see that. Maybe I'll have to pick some of those up sometime and try them out. I actually have some Kleins that are 20 or 30 years old, some side cutters or dikes, whatever you want to call them. And they're awesome. I've never sharpened them, and they're still sharper than all the new ones I bought. Like I was saying, the locking C-clamp pliers from Harbor Freight are awesome. All the needle nose and everything else are probably pretty good too. I also have a big C-clamp that I originally got to squeeze brick calipers back down. It's also very awesome. It's just a cheap C-clamp. I mean, I wouldn't try to hang an engine from it or anything, but it's definitely very sturdy. The magnetic tool holders, they're pretty awesome. They're strong enough that the little clip on the back of a tape measure can keep it stuck to it. I also have one hanging on the wall that I hang my extra table saw blades on, just to keep them in my sight so I know where they're at. I've never used any of their pegboard stuff, but you get 50 pieces for $7, so whenever I finally get my pegboard up, that's probably what I'll go with. They have a tool belt, heavy duty tool belt for 25 bucks. And here's those Apache cases again that I was talking about in the beginning. I don't really know what, I guess that one has a camera in it. It has a spot for 2 padlocks. They all seem to have cameras in them actually. Focus. Anyway, those are kind of neat. I'd like to see them in the store, so next time I go, I'm going to check them out. Anyway, all these little toolboxes and organizers and stuff, they're pretty decent price. You might be able to find them a little cheaper if you shop around, but Harbor Freight has quite the selection. If you have to hang any drywall, the drywall panel hoist is an awesome deal. 214 bucks. I've actually bought it, used it for a weekend, and then sold it on Craigslist for, I paid $20 for it in the end. And it saved me so much time from having to have somebody else help me with everything, you know, and having to do it on their schedule. The scaffolding is also a great deal. I really feel like, you know, it's almost as cheap as renting some. If you rent some for a week, you probably could have almost bought that. While it's probably not as good as the kind you'd rent, you get to keep it. These ladders, like I said in the very beginning of this video, they're also pretty decent. Just if you have big feet or wearing boots, you might not be able to fit 2 feet on the same rung. Just something to consider. Hand trucks and the movers dollies, pretty awesome. I've never used some of the more expensive ones because I haven't had to. The Vulcan, here's some coupons for Vulcan welders. I don't really know much about welders, but someday I will get one from Harbor Freight to play with. So that should be fun. Some more welders. The shop press, awesome. The auto shop around here charges you $35 to press in a ball joint. So if you have 2 ball joints, 3 ball joints, 4 ball joints, you know, you're better off buying that. It could, you know, come in it could be useful for other things also. The blast cabinets, I've always been interested in those, but I don't have enough space or items to go buy one. I usually just use a friend's. The stud welder, starting your body work before you took a car in to get it painted or something would probably save you some money. The tire changer, it does work, but it's kind of obnoxious. You have to make sure it's bolted to the floor properly, or it'll be a major pain. I've never used any of their gas-powered anythings really. Earth auger for 199 bucks. It says Predator beats Earthquake, so I guess they replaced the Earthquake. Yeah, apparently they sell some heaters too. That one looks like a normal house fan. It's a 900 watt. They also have one for a portable propane heater. I'm gonna have to find something for my garage this winter, because I do spend quite a bit of time out here. If I had a bigger yard, we'd have a greenhouse, and I've actually seen a few of those. They're kind of weird to put together, but after you work out the kinks, they're awesome. They hold up for quite a few years. The oldest one that I know of is like 6 years old, and it's still going good. I haven't really had a whole lot of experience with the Portland stuff. I have used the pressure washer, and I have researched the little chipper shredder a little bit, but it doesn't take big enough branch sizes for me to be interested, and it's slow. I just pile them up and light them on fire. They're safes. They're kind of neat. The only thing I don't like about them is the handle. It's wimpy. Kind of feels like a cheap locker handle, or one of the metal cabinets that your teacher had in school. They're kind of flimsy, kind of wobbly. It's kind of like that. And if you buy a safe, I feel like you want a big beefy handle that you feel like someone's never going to get into. Here's the Cobra security system. Still very curious about that. 250 bucks. Doesn't seem like too bad of a deal. But I don't really need one for inside. I just kind of want one for my driveway. The little connector, storehouse connector terminal set for 10 bucks. You get 520 pieces. They're actually pretty decent. You definitely want to go ahead and shrink wrap everything after you crimp them down, but they're pretty nice. I've heard people say good things about the wire assortment. Their LED work lights are pretty awesome. I own this guy right here. He's pretty good. I haven't had a problem with it. I had a problem with the halogen one. Used it for about 3 hours and the bulb would just burn out. If I could tie it, like I'm saying, I've said in previous videos anyway, if my electric company would let me tie into the grid with that LED panels, I would totally do it just to reduce my electric bill. But at this current location, it's not an option. That's another thing I've been meaning to pick up, is the retractable extension cord. It's 40 feet. It's 50 bucks though. I felt like that was a little pricey. They're selling it under the Vanguard label now. I guess it's one I've never really paid attention or heard of. They're outdoor extension cords. They're pretty beefy, but I feel like they're quite expensive for a Harbor Freight item. TV wall mount, $24.99. Fits a 70-inch TV. But honestly, if you just bought a 70-inch TV, I think you can spend a little more and get a something that might not fall off the wall. But they may be a good deal, I don't know. It seems to be a good price. Apparently Harbor Freight now sells wheelchairs. 24-inch foldable wheelchair. A sitter stand behind a rolling walker. For those of you that are interested in that. The helping hands. I absolutely love this thing. If you do a lot of soldering on wires, just having that hold your pieces together while you solder them, it's very awesome. They also sell a bigger one. I think it's called Bigger Helping Hands or something like that. but it's pretty awesome. Retractable Dog Leash. I've heard people say they're pretty bad. Apparently they sell pet beds too, and balsa wood puzzles. This is some stuff I'm not used to seeing in these catalogs. There's a tricycle and a wagon, rechargeable radio control airplane. They have 2 or 3 different models. They've always had the RC cars. They have some kind of aerocopters, some kind of rubber band flying toy. They also have a rechargeable radio control speedboat. It's kind of interesting. Some toy 54-piece power tool set. If you have some kids that are interested in that. And a bingo game. Interesting. Their electrical tape's pretty good. And they have a good price on it. You can buy a whole sleeve of it for like $5. I've heard nothing but great things about the Earthquake tools. The battery operated one's pretty awesome. That's quite an expensive price. You can pick up a number of other tools that are also pretty good. Namely Ryobi, Cobalt. You could probably pick up the DeWalt one for about that price. Anyway, they're pretty awesome. The Air ones are extremely awesome for, you know, especially for the price you pay. But the thing that interested me the most was the battery operated ratchet. I've never seen one in person. I did look at them at the Harbor Freight store. It was $109. Extra battery was $20. I really considered getting it. I just haven't quite dropped the hammer yet, but I'll probably end up with it. There's some more impact sockets and stuff down here. They're an awesome deal, pretty much always. The cheap 1/2-inch impact that Harbor Freight carries, just pass on it. The ratchet's okay. You're going to need quite an air compressor to keep up with it though. I didn't try any of the better ones. I'll just stick with my battery operated ones. Like I said, the Diablo hoses are awesome. The rubber air hose is my preferred one, but they're both very good. I also bought a red hose from Harbor Freight. I think it's a 25-footer. It's a decent quality hose for what I paid for it, but in reality it's a cheap hose. You can just tell by touching it. I kind of want that retractable thing, but at the same time I don't really want to pay $80 to store a hose. It would be nice to have it hooked up all the time, just be able to pull it down and use it and let go and go back. But I've heard people say they've had problems with them. So their connectors are pretty good price. If you search around enough, you can find something better. I've heard people say they've had that one for quite a while and it's been awesome. Their air compressors, if you can, if you're not going to be using it a whole lot, maybe the oilless one would be okay for you. But I would say if you plan on having it for a while, just go ahead and spend a little bit of extra money and get the oiled one. It's going to last you a whole lot longer. I've had this one probably for about a year. I use it, I'm going to say weekly. It's not something I use every day. Maintenance on it's very easy. I'll actually make a video on that later this week, getting it ready for winter. But other than that, I've had no problems with it. Supposedly they changed the air filter housing to a steel one that uses the actual filter now, so that's awesome. The air tools are all moderately decent. I actually had the air impact hammer and I ended up taking it back. I wasn't impressed. I have the cutoff tool still, and it's pretty decent. It was $4.99 with a coupon 1 month or something, so I picked it up. The die grinder I wasn't impressed with, especially with the stones that they give you. The grinding stones, they're all pretty crappy. They pretty much broke immediately into like a million pieces and kind of went all over the room. I've heard people say there's a texture spray gun. It's really supposed to be really awesome. I'm actually going to be in the need for that sometime this winter, so I'll probably pick it up. Their nail guns, I have the 22-degree one. I've only had one major jam with it, and it might have been the nails I was putting in there, because I actually was using the Harbor Freight nails. But since then, I've only had that one problem, and no other issues with it. I have a few of the other ones. I have a brad nailer and a staple gun, and I also have the combo one. I've had no significant problems with either one of those. But it's also very easy to take apart. The framing nailer, you can just There's some star bolts and you just take them off. Star bolts, Allen key heads, and you just take them off. Not a big deal. Gloves, like I said, they're a staple. These gloves are actually pretty decent. You can find them on sale quite often. The Nerdle gloves are pretty good. I've never bought any leather gloves there because I haven't had a need for them. I don't wear gloves very much unless I'm messing with oil or something like that. This little Butane Torch, it used to be orange. It's one of my favorite things I've ever bought from Harbor Freight. That thing just keeps on going. You think you'd break it just by the way it feels, but it's actually a very good tool. I've never had a problem with it. Refilled it about a dozen times. It's awesome. These anti-fatigue mats, I can keep considering getting some, but I've still yet to get them. I don't know how good they work. Drain cleaner, awesome deal. Cheaper than calling Roto-Rooter a few times. If they have to do any kind of significant work, that would probably be cheaper. Alright, and like the heat gun, usually you can find it on sale for $8.99. They also have a red bodied one, and I'm sure it's a lot better. But that black one, the switch is usually the part that fails on it. There's ways around it. We had a toggle switch in there for a while. It's been pretty reliable, but I ultimately am going to throw it away and buy a better one. I don't know if I'll buy it from Harbor Freight or not. Their respirators are pretty decent. You can usually buy a 3M one for not much more than that. Sometimes it's important, and I don't know if I trust Harbor Freight to make filters. Never use any of the fans or the paint sprayers or anything like that, but there may be something I use in the future. Sorry about that. The bench grinder, I always feel like I need one. I've yet to buy one, but they're table vices. I've heard pretty horrific things. If you really put something in there and pound on it, I've heard of them splitting because they're cast, but they're hollow. So take that as you will. I would probably buy one. I just know what could happen, so I wouldn't beat on it so hard. Cement mixer, that's a pretty decent deal. You can probably find one at Lowe's or something for about a similar price. But you couldn't use a 20% off coupon like you can here. Maybe you could, I don't know. Shop vac, with that being probably Chicago Electric or something. I know you can find a stainless steel one from the Shop Vac or Husky or something like that for a similar price. I've heard great things about the dust collector. I've actually seen it in use. It's pretty good. It's quite noisy, but it's not really that big of a deal. It's better than having to clean up everything. The sanders and stuff, I always look at them and I always think about getting one, but then I had to realize how much I'm actually going to use it. Realistically going to use it. That's not something I would use every day. The multi-tools are all pretty awesome. It says over 10 million tools sold. I use those every time I can. My favorite one is still the Black & Decker one that I have. Just because blade changes are so easy. But Harbor Freight usually has you can get one of these if you spend $60, usually around Christmas, so it'll be next month probably. They'll have a coupon in their book where you can get one of those for $5 if you spend $60, which that's probably the average I spend when I'm in Harbor Freight. I don't know if they'll do it this year or not. Their sanders, they're all pretty decent. Just, I wouldn't expect a ton of use out of it. If you use it every day, it's probably going to last you a month. They're the small Dremel. It's really small. Could be useful for some things. I do have the bigger one currently, and it's pretty awesome. I use little wire brushes on it to knock rust off parts and things. It works really good. I've never used any of the buffers. I'd imagine they're moderately decent. But if you're a professional, these probably aren't for you anyway. The cheap reciprocating saw is awesome. I don't have any experience with the other two. The darker red body or the blue one. Usually they're better. But the cheapo one's been fine for me. Table saw. By the time you buy the stand, same price as something else. So I would probably just get something else. Chop saw, I've never used it. The grinders, like I said, that one's usually on sale. It is kind of a piece of crap, but you know, it does work. You can use it. I have the Orbital Jigsaw. Walmart sells one for around 20 bucks under the I don't remember what the brand is offhand anymore, but it's $20. And they're almost identical. I think there's like the switch color is different or something. The circle saw, 32 bucks. That's a pretty good deal. You can find other saws in that price range. I have seen Craftsman Evolve saws or somewhere around there. They're cut off wheels and stuff. I just tend to buy them somewhere else, but they are decent. Corded drill for 21 bucks. I've heard people say they're pretty decent also. You know, if you don't have a lot of money, one of the corded drills is the way to go. No batteries to worry about or anything. Like I said, that set really isn't that bad. I've never used the cordless impact driver, but if it's anything like the drill, you know, it's cheap, but it'll function. And replacement batteries are only 13 bucks. That's awesome. And apparently they make a jigsaw and a sawzall too. Those are things I didn't know. Maybe I would have ended up with them. I don't know if I'd still use them, but they're pretty awesome. The price point especially. I've never used a 1/2 inch impact wrench. 100 bucks. It's in that price range of just a little more, and you can get a better name brand. Sorry, wasn't even in the camera. In the shot. The Warrior drill bits, I try to avoid them. Big old Bauer page. Apparently Bauer now has a cordless circle saw. It's a 6.5 inch, kind of like the DeWalt and the Cobalt one. Now these are a little more realistically priced compared to the Hercules in my opinion. And if they're basically I'd like to see the inner workings of this one compared to the Hercules. I wonder if they just don't have different color shells and they're the same thing. But they're also making a half inch impact. A jigsaw, a grinder, reciprocating saw, and batteries at 20 bucks. They also have a 3 amp hour for 34, and the charger is $20. I'd say that's a little bit better of a set, especially with price point. It says they're coming soon, so I've never used any of their corded tools. Bauer's relatively new to me in the Harbor Freight scene. I've never used them. And in the Hercules set, I actually did buy the impact driver and the hammer drill, and I was thoroughly disappointed. The impact driver, after using it to drive some legs, it had a wobble, and it would no longer drive screws straight. It was just so wobbly and so hard to keep on there. I've never had another drill fail like that. I've seen people tear them apart. They don't beat DeWalt, and they're not equal to DeWalt. I'm pretty sure they just say that. So whenever you think about your DeWalt or your Hercules, you think about, you know, or every time you think about the DeWalt driver, you're going to think Hercules is the same, but it's not. For one, the warranty is only 90 days, unless you buy the extended warranty, and then you might as well just bought the DeWalt. On the back here, you got the 20% off coupon, some free batteries, coupon for the Earthquake for $2.29, a winch, the jump starter and power pack, a double bevel miter saw for $134. I wish I would have seen that before I bought the 10 inch home light. It was about half that price, but I like the double beveling and the it being a 12 inch. The gloves for $3.99. I think they're a good deal. And the compressor for $149. That's cheaper than when I bought it on sale. It's absolutely a decent compressor. I wouldn't say it's good, but you can definitely run some air tools off it. Anyway guys, I appreciate you watching. If you don't mind hitting the subscribe button, I'd really appreciate it. As always, take it easy, and I'll see you around. Had a nigga in the cut with a
suck my
Bing, bing, bong.